Ministry has assured members of the Textile, Garment and Leather Employees Union the task force mandated to check the smuggling and importation of pirated fabrics into the country will be inaugurated soon. The assurance comes after members of the union earlier Monday picketed at the ministry demanding the inauguration of a new anti-textile piracy task force after the last task force was disbanded earlier this year. The workers say the importation of the counterfeit fabric is to blame for the collapse of the textile industry. Abraham Kumsing is General Secretary for the union.
The problem has been there since the 1990s. And we managed to get the Ministry of Trade to set up a committee, which they called Anti-Textiles Policy Task Force in 2010. And so this task force has been doing a lot to help to check the smuggling and the counterfeiting. But unfortunately, it's about a year now, the task force has been rendered inactive. And because of that, it's the production levels of our companies have gone down very, very low. For instance, this is our peak season. Christmas is just around the corner. And this is the time that we expect orders to come for us to produce. But visit our factories, no orders are coming. But go to the markets and you see the cloth, flying all over the place. And about 95% are all Chinese, made. You see, the problem we don't have problem with people, importing textiles, no. But we are against the faking of our designs, the counterfeiting. Like you showed GTP, if you think that you are doing a good business, why don't you put your own brand name there? And the quality is not GTP quality. You buy it, you may think that you are buying GTP cloth. You go and wash it once, then it fits. So we think that it is the responsibility of the Ministry of Trade to help us deal with it. Now, all we are asking is that the task force should be reactivated. In fact, we had a series of meetings on this reactivation of the task force. But the new government, they felt that, okay, we are new, let us study how the task force operates. We agree with them. But 10 months now, nothing is happening. We meet, assurances are given, the next time, nothing happens again.
Well, we have a reaction from the Trade Minister coming up later on in the business news. But in other news, the Health Minister, Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Manu, is infuriated by the decision by the Chief Executive of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Felix Anya, to terminate a contract with Unibank without seeking his consent. The issue came to the limelight following some corruption allegations by musician A+, and he leveled that against two deputy chiefs of staff, Francis Asenso-Boakye and Abu Jinapo. A+ alleged the Unibank Ghana Limited was aggrieved because management of Korle Bu had abrogated the existing memorandum of understanding with them without any reason, thus treating them unfairly. But management of the Premier Health Facility says it did no wrong in abrogating the contract. Let us first hear from the Public Relations Officer of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Mustafa Salifu, who says the hospital followed due process.
Yes, there is evidence that the hospital followed due process in the selection of the banks that are currently doing the on-site banking. There is documentary evidence that these banks were invited, there were 12 in number, and then there's also evidence that they went through the first stage, the initial process, and then they were shortlisted. The two banks were shortlisted. One placed first, and then the other one placed fourth. So once we have those documents, it means yes, there was due process. There was due process in the selection of these banks, despite the fact that there may be challenges. There may be challenges associated with that. The board was not in place, but when there's no board in place, the management will meet and then do consultations with the authorities. That is to the mother ministry, and then the other agencies that are responsible for taking decisions or giving approval for these initiatives, like the Ministry of Finance and the Controller and Accountant General's Department, and then the Ministry of Health. So there's evidence here that a letter from the hospital that went to the Director of the Ministry of Finance and then copied to the Minister of Health, and I think and even to a higher authority, that is the President, and including the Controller and Accountant General's Department. I am speaking with the evidence that we have, which is here. It's a letter talking about that, saying that we want only Stanbic Bank to do the on-site banking services. It was the decision of the board, and I have not seen the reasons they have assigned for the selection of Unibank, despite the fact that it placed fourth. So, in a way, yes, I think we can give credence to this statement, that we can, in a way, be blamed, because Controller and Accountant General went ahead to caution that, given the weaknesses in Unibank's system, then we should add additional banks so that we could compete for one more that will compete with Stanbic Bank. We've also heard a claim in sections of the media this morning that since the arrival of Unibank to participate in the on-site banking services, that the hospital has stopped experiencing revenue leakages. I think that is a total lie, and that is exactly the reason why we want an end-to-end software that will automate many of our services and network the departments, so that we can do real-time monitoring of revenue that is being generated. So at the moment, what happens is that somebody will do an assessment and tell you how much you go and pay. So people are taking advantage of that to actually underbill and then take some of the money for themselves. So it's not a system that is so robust that people cannot beat it.
Well, Kolebu CEO Dr. Felix Sangha has come under fire after the Health Minister Kweku Agyeman accused him of failing to adhere to corporate governance standards by terminating the contract with Unibank. Health Minister Dr. Agyeman said he instructed the CEO, Dr. Sangha, not to cancel the contract as it could bring about a judgment debt situation. According to him, Dr. Sangha had no authority to act in such a manner because he was given specific instructions to hold on. He spoke earlier on Joy FM Super Morning Show.
You can't commit Kolebu to 25 years supply contract. Please, let us wait. Let us go back and do our things again. He was coming to consult. So ask Dr. Sangha, events thereafter, would that mean me correcting him that he can't take decisions and implement them without a board or a minister approving of these decisions?
So has Dr. Sangha actually violated... Yeah, okay, I understand your position. I'm asking whether Dr. Sangha has violated any law by taking such a decision without consulting the minister in the absence of a board.
I wouldn't talk about the law, but for me, that is not the best practice anybody will expect in governance of an institution. You can't take decisions and implement them if you are part of your management of your radio station without a board approving of it. Will you? It is not a law.
Well, our expectation is that, after, as a public institution, there will be set down regulations on how to take decisions in the absence of a board.
So they are there. If you're a chief executive, right, you look up to your board to do approvals. You can't spend. You can't sign a contract. You can't go into any agreement with anybody. Apart from the board approving, in the absence of the board, you seek authority from your minister. That was wrong.
So in this statement, which was just this weekend, after you had given your advice to Dr. Sangha, after Dr. Sangha had told you that everything is under control, in this statement where he talks about Kolebu currently in a stalemate because it's continuing to lose all the benefits of the end-to-end...
What holds Dr. Sangha from coming to the minister? There is a board sitting there, talking to the board chair for them to meet in the absence of a board. These are basic governance issues. As a chief executive, you don't just take anything into your hands and do what you want to do. It's wrong.
That's why I'm asking whether you consider this to be some act of insubordination or whether you just think Dr. Enya doesn't know what to do.
On your radio, I haven't even known and seen any statement Dr. Enya will have done. He hasn't come here to report about any stalemate. He hasn't been here to tell me we are losing revenues. And I'm engaging him. He brought some proposals here with some foreign investors, those who want to come and do certain things in quality. I've told him that there's another proposal here. People who want to come and introduce some IT solutions to try to see how we can manage the entire Kolebu integrated on an IT platform, which will include billing and collection of money and things like that, right? With his concurrence, right, he has even asked that we should invite the people to come and do a demonstration for him and his management people to look at that solution to see if that will help them.
Well, we have tried to reach the chief executive of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Felix Sangha, to react to what the minister has had to say. He's declined comment. He says he would rather not talk at this point. But the Senior Staff Association of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, they've waded into this controversy. Now, they have issued a statement which I'll read to you in a bit. So they're calling for calm heads to prevail. And they say the Kolebu Senior Staff Association has observed that the industrial peace and harmony, which we fought for, and the gains we are currently making as a hospital are being threatened by the differences between hospital administration and one of its business partners, Unibank. Much as the issue being raised is relevant to the progress of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and must be pursued to its logical conclusion, this must be done without the current public accusations and counter-accusations. COSA, which is the Kolebu Senior Staff Association, therefore wishes to appeal to the hospital administration, whose leadership has led to the peace the hospital is currently enjoying, and Unibank, which is also engaged in providing invaluable services to the hospital. COSA also recognizes the impact of the public disagreement on the operations of the institution and strongly advocates for the cessation of all media banter, while we and other stakeholders take steps to amicably resolve the differences in ways that will inure to the benefit of our patients in the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. We wish to use this opportunity to appeal to His Excellency the President and the Sector Minister to support the current effort at rebuilding Kolebu and restoring its status as a premier teaching hospital by the current CEO, Dr. Felix Sangha. The media will be briefed on progress of our resolution efforts in due course, but we entreat all sides to respect to cease all media engagement. And this is signed by Charles Ni Kwade Ofepa, who's the president of the Kolebu Senior Staff Association. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. Still ahead in the bulletin, it has now been established that the mining firm where the late Major Maxwell Mahama had been deployed before he met his tragic death may have been operating illegally. Now the company is only now being asked to halt its operations.
This opportunity to direct you to cease all mining activities, henceforth.
Stay tuned. We're back with that story and more. Now, President Akufo-Addo has revealed government will ensure cocoa beverages are served in both basic and senior high schools in the country. He adds every student will be given a bar of chocolate every day in both basic and second cycle institutions as one of the latest interventions by government to intensify local cocoa consumption. President Akufo-Addo was speaking at the 70th anniversary celebration of Cocoa Board in Kumasi, where he launched the National Cocoa Consumption Campaign.
Inculcating the habit of consuming cocoa in our children. This will not only develop the taste for cocoa products, but will also help them stay healthier to contribute their quota towards the transformation of Ghana. It is for this reason that the Ministry of Agriculture through Cocoa Board, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection through the School Feeding Program, and the Ministry of Education through the Ghana Education Service are to ensure the sustained provision of cocoa beverages and chocolates to school children from primary school up to secondary level. The target is to provide every Ghanaian student with a bar of chocolate or cocoa beverage each day whilst in school. This program has been given the needed impetus by some manufacturing companies who have agreed to support the program.
The president also indicated the need to increase processing of cocoa into what he called tabletop consumption. The Agriculture Minister Akoto Osefri also revealed plans by the ministry to reduce fertilizer subsidies by 50% in a bid to increase local production.
It is a dream of this government to industrialize this economy. Therefore, the new cocoa sector strategy will contain a clear initiative for encouraging cocoa processing and consumption in Ghana, as clearly demonstrated by the Chief Executive during his presentation this afternoon. We have voted a change in the input supply policy. The new approach will completely eliminate substandard chemicals and fertilizers, provide a 50% subsidy to farmers, and ensure all farmers have equal access to the requisite amount of fertilizer required for their farm sizes. Cocoa production cannot continue to be rain-fed. In this regard, the ministry is working with Cocoa Board to provide a pilot scheme for small-scale irrigation to cocoa farmers.
Asantehene Otumfuo II was unveiled as the ambassador for the National Cocoa Consumption Campaign. Asantehene, in his speech, encouraged the public to exhibit their patriotism through consuming cocoa products.
We will all contribute in various ways to ensure a boost in the cocoa industry. I am a consumer of cocoa, so if Cocoa Board wants me to be an ambassador for them, I accept. Cocoa is a major resource in the country. We need more cocoa processing factories to enable increased production of cocoa products rather than the constant export of raw cocoa beans and importation of finished cocoa products.
Board Chairman of Cocoa Board Hackman Oswajimang, however, reiterated the need to make the welfare of cocoa farmers it's a priority. Some residents of neighboring communities, Tantra Hills and Mile 7, say they are living in constant fear after gunmen robbed 3 shops last Monday, Wednesday and Thursday. 2 of the attacks happened in broad daylight, with the attackers escaping with thousands of Ghana cedis. Joy News' Maxwell Agwagwa has been to the community and our reports.
I'm currently here on the Red Cube Road. It looks very quiet for an afternoon. There's not much of activity here on this road. Well, some robbers took advantage of the situation to rob a shop right here. Now, this is exactly what happened. Well, a company had their vehicle parked here and they were here to deliver some goods to the shop. They were seated in the car getting ready to get down to deliver those products when 2 robbers, armed robbers on a motorbike, accosted them. Well, the driver of the vehicle was sitting right inside the car when one of the robbers actually took out his gun and then pointed it at him and then took an undisclosed amount of money from them, and then they bolted. Well, I'm here to meet the owner of the shop. He was here to witness exactly what happened on that day. He's going to tell us exactly how it all happened here. Bro, what's up?
Oh, fine.
Everything fine?
Everything's okay. Last week Thursday, I was about for Unilever peoples. So they came here around 10 to 11 in the after morning, 10 to 11 a.m. And they said park here. When I finished writing what all I'll buy, they just went to the car to go and bring the things. Then the car and some people who are holding motor came and put gun on them, where they collect all the money that they have from them. Just around this time.
Okay. So when you saw them, what did you do?
I was inside, like, I'm coming out. When I saw them, the guy looked at me and was like, when the way the guy is holding the gun, I'm afraid that maybe she will shoot me. So I just get back in. I just went inside and locked the glass door. And the guy who was holding the gun, there was blood in his shirt. I think they went and attacked some people before they came here. I'm in fear. Because of what happened the other day, I'm in fear now.
That happened on Thursday afternoon. I'm here to meet another woman here in the same community of Tantra Hills. Well, she was robbed of her amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis here at Tantra Hills. Well, that happened on Wednesday afternoon, sometime around 3:45 p.m. The robbers came in here, fired some warning shots, and then robbed her of her possessions. We are here to meet her to find out exactly how it happened.
We're here ran about 3:30 to 4. I was sitting here when I saw a private car parking here. Then the man get out with a jacket, coat, a leather jacket. Then I said, oh, why this time leather jacket? It didn't take about 1 minute. Then I heard, pew. Then I saw that it's a armed robbers. They take our mobile money. So when we add it, it's a 10,000 plus and mobile phone. Our Tigo mobile phone, Airtel, and your iPhone. Yes, I'm fear now. So even I went to police station and told them that they will give us a police to come and guide us, but the price is too much.
As soon as they came inside, they opened the gates and they entered. So I was trying to give my iPhone to my sister, then they gave a warning shot. So I was struggling with one, and one of them slapped me and used the, I don't know whether it's a stick, something to hit my back around 3:30 to 4 p.m. But they said if people come around that they will kill one of us. Yes, they threatened us.
That incident happened last Wednesday. I'm at a different shop where there was another incident of a robbery here. But this incident actually happened on Monday, and the place is about 30 seconds walk from the last place that we visited. Well, the woman who sells in this shop tells me that she makes daily sales of about 1,500 Ghana cedis. She had kept the money for the sales of 5 days in the shop. Someone broke into it and made way with all of that money.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break now. We'll bring you business news. Thereafter, in business news, a newly appointed board chairman of VRA is planning to make thermal challenges and listing on the stock exchange one of his major priorities. Stay tuned, we'll be back in a bit.
Hello, good evening. Thanks so much for making a date. Now, former Chief Executive of Volta River Authority, VRA, Kweku Ando-Awotri, has been appointed as new board chairperson of the reconstituted board of the company. Speaking to Joy Business after inaugurating the 8-member board, Mr. Awotri told Joy Business he plans to make VRA's finances and thermal challenges, as well as the listing of VRA on the stock exchange, as priorities.
We've been talking about restructuring and reforming the power sector for almost a decade. This isn't really new news. I think the difference now is that the government is really keen to make it the high priority. So from a substance point of view, we've been talking about restructuring and reforming the VRA and the power sector for a number of years. Some things have happened already. You know, they split Gridco from VRA about a decade ago. You know, there are other things that are going on. So it's not all new, but I think it's now a matter of getting some things done.
What would be your priority? Because some are saying that there's a lot on the plate, but which are the focus areas that would lead in this whole reformation that you've been charged to fast track?
Sure. I would sort of break it out into two, in the sense that there's some external issues which have other people involved. So what do I mean by that? The finances of the authority have to be the highest priority. But the government, as you probably know, has already started thinking of, floating a bond. The energy sector levy would be used to secure that. But the financial health of the VRA has to be the top priority, but others are working on it, including the VRA. As far as the board and what it sort of can immediately do, I would talk about, or I would say, the internal issues, the restructuring of the non-core businesses, where we've been talking for, again, many years about privatizing them, the schools, the hospitals, the lake transport, or not necessarily selling them off so much as bringing private sector investment is something that is very important as well. And then I would say the next issue, or an equally important issue, is the invitation of the private sector into the thermal assets, which is also something that's been talked about for many, many years. And, understandably, workers are concerned, as they should be. And there's certainly a way to get it done in a way that everybody wins.
But the workers appear not to be that pleased with the approach. I mean, the thermal, some would say that the biggest challenge would be the thermal and people. The thermal operations hasn't been that work, and the workers are still being paid and all those things. How are you going to deal with that issue and letting them appreciate that fresh private capital is needed to turn things around?
The key in a lot of these things is consultation, consultation, consultation. It's about engaging the workers, responding to their queries, making sure that there are good solutions for their concerns. And they can be worked out. But oftentimes we start a process and we don't fully sort of engage.
Meanwhile, senior staff of the VRA have received the appointment of the board chairman, Kweku Awotri, with excitement. It appears the senior staff and the ministry are on the same page with their choice of leadership for the governing board, despite current disagreements over the sale of some VRA's assets. Here's National Advisor for the Senior Staff Association, who spoke earlier on the polls.
During his tenure as chief executive, although short, but he was able to handle the operationalization of NEDCO as an entity. And today, NEDCO is doing very, very, very well. Okay. So he's a management strategist, and we know what he's capable of doing, except that, today being a board chairman, perhaps he might be given certain mandates to ensure that certain policy directions are carried out. But, of course, I think he also listens to workers. And at the best of it all, and the beauty of it is that we'll combine, our ideas and that of government to be able to get what is good for the good people of Ghana.
Let me find out from you.
Let me add some small bit here. It's a very good news. Okay. It's good news in the sense that one of the major problems that we preempt that has militated against us as a result of this was the fact that you realize that it was as though VRA is being managed from afar.
Micromanaged by the minister.
Let me put it that way.
Away from that, Minister for Trade and Industry Alan Kwadwo Kyerematen has reiterated the commitment of government to resolve issues concerning pirated textiles. According to him, the ministry has issued a letter to the various stakeholders of the industry to nominate members to reconstitute a new task force. Earlier in the day, some members of the Textile Workers Union and Textile Garment and Leather Employees picketed at the ministry to press home their demands for a solution to the collapsing textile manufacturing business. Speaking with journalists in an interview, Alan Kyerematen promised government has begun work to end the menace.
I'm sure we are all aware. We've been here and we've known that this has been a perennial problem, dealing with imported textiles, which unfortunately has created serious challenges for our local textile manufacturers. As a government, we are committed to make sure that we find a lasting solution to this problem. And that is why we've had constant engagement, consultations with all the textile companies at the highest level, with the management and the union leaders. And we've come to a certain understanding that the kinds of measures that will be instituted in the next few months will make sure that this challenge and this problem will be dealt with substantively. And so it's unfortunate that I was not here, but it's unfortunate that the members of the of some of the textile workers union had come and offered or made this petition. But I think it's been explained to them, and there's understanding that already my deputy minister responsible for trade had met with them on Thursday, and they had come to an agreement that the task force was going to start working again. So the problem is being dealt with, and I don't think that there's any need for friction. We are not expecting that anybody will use this to create additional friction, because we already have set ourselves on the path of dealing with the problem substantively.
Now, Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, says more investments need to be directed into agriculture to support the nation's ambitious agricultural development. Mr. Yofi Grant spoke with Joy Business ahead of the GIPC USAID FinCap Agriculture and Agribusiness Investment Forum.
So it's important that we reposition agriculture, and once we have the potential, it's different if we don't have the potential, but we do have the potential. And I dare say that the lack of appropriate investment and attention to agriculture is what has led what we every year see as a sort of rural to urban migration of young, able, hardworking people looking to eke a living from a job, because there's no investment in agriculture, so they do come down. But can you imagine if we put even half of that 2.2 billion to work in here? Planting the farms, tilling the ground, and then marketing the products internally and maybe for the sub-region, then we would have a very interesting agricultural economy. So definitely investments are required now, much more than before. And I do agree that agric is probably one of those very difficult areas that in many banking cycles they would say is high risk. But the returns are definitely, worth considering as well.
On the investment side, what are we going to do? What is your office going to do to attract more investors, more foreign investors to this particular sector so that it can actually grow? We can't always depend on government. Well, government has put together a number of initiatives. Right. But how do we attract the foreigners to come in?
Actually, when we do go on our investment trips, and very soon we are going to come out with our own sort of teaser on agriculture and the potential and opportunity in agriculture, as we are doing with the other sectors of the economy. But when we do go out, we highlight agriculture as one of our priority areas, agriculture and agro-processing. And we have had some significant interest, some from South Africa, from Asia, even from Europe, who think that Ghana is an interesting place to come and do stuff in agriculture. In the past, we've had some big players like VegPro from Kenya come over here to do vegetables and horticulture for export, because
it has been established that the mining firm in the Menfi East District of the Western Region, where the late Major Maxwell Mahama was posted before his tragic lynching, did not have the required permit to carry out mining. Land and Natural Resources Minister John Peter Amewu has therefore ordered the company CNG Alaska to cease all mining activities until they have secured an annual operational permit. The minister issued the directive when he visited the concession of the company Sunday afternoon, following a tip-off by an informer that the company had defied government's directive that all forms of small-scale mining be stopped. Latif Idris was with the minister in our report.
It was rumored at the time of the gruesome murder of the late Major Maxwell Mahama, he was protecting an illegal mining site together with his team, who were positioned there at the time. What wasn't clear had to do with the authenticity of those claims. On Sunday, however, it became clear the late major and his men protected a site that has no license to mine. The Lands and Natural Resources Minister has therefore ordered the managing director to cease all mining activities.
We have also looked through the records. We've realized, yes, you have the mining list, you have the exploration list, you have the entry permit, but there's the annual operation permit, which of course mandates you annually to come to site and work. That's, we've realized is missing. You have not gotten that. My technical teams, I think, they've informed me that you haven't gotten the annual operational permit. And so we are here to direct you to cease operation, while attempts are being made to regularize the process.
The minister's visit to the mining site of CNG Alaska came about following a tip-off the ministry received from an informant at Modaso, the community within which the concession of CNG Alaska is sited. According to the informant, the company has defied a ban on small-scale mining and has been mining for gold.
They had an information that the minister is coming, so they've taken away all the excavators. What you can see over there is a washer. When we are doing reclamation, as they are claiming, what do you use the washer for? What do you use that pumping machine over there for? Do you see? So they are doing mining here, and they are destroying our river. This stream that you see, it joins the Ankobra River. So there is no way we will ever have a clean water.
This is the Diaso River?
Yes, it joins the Ankobra River. So the 50 million Ghanas the president paid is going waste because we have military men protecting Chinese legal miners over here.
Canada and Ghana Mining Company, is it a Chinese firm?
Giving out their sites to illegal Chinese miners.
The managing director of the company, Emmanuel Donald Etria, however, denied the claim, saying the company has only been doing reclamation of pits left behind by galamseyers.
CNG has never undertaken illegal mining, and we will not do that. The records are there to speak to it. Okay? Before we even came into the concession to work, the illegal miners have been working, and that's why they are following the minister, making all the noise. Their plan is to make us look bad so that the place will be vacant, because of course we are protecting the concession. The soldiers are here, they cannot come and do their nefarious activities. It's as simple as that. I can identify 3 or 4 of them who are following the minister, who have called me, come to me, begging for parcels of land to work on.
If you didn't,
there's an agenda behind this, we know.
If you
but
didn't,
the truth will speak for itself.
If you didn't do the mining here, why are you taking upon yourself to reclaim the land?
Legally, the concession is in our name, so we will be held responsible for any defamation on it. So it's our responsibility. That's why we are spending all the money, equipment, and what have you to reclaim it.
Mr. Meu warned failure to comply will attract tough sanctions.
Elsewhere, government is urging calm among residents of the country's Zongo communities who have been anticipating the disbursement of the Zongo Development Fund promised by the New Patriotic Party during the 2016 election campaign. There's already been pockets of agitation in some of the communities by residents who believe it is taking too long for the promised development to start affecting their lives. Minister for Inner Cities and Zongo Development Boniface Abubakar Sadiq tells Joy News' Eastern Region correspondent Maxwell Kudako that Zongo Development Fund will soon become operational once the bill is passed into law, so they can be assured their fair share of the national cake.
Minister for Inner Cities and Zongo Development Boniface Abubakar Sadiq is urging Zongo communities to exercise patience in their haste to see the fruits of the Zongo Development Fund. He said even though the disbursement of the fund seemed to be delaying, it will soon be released. According to Boniface Abubakar Sadiq, the Zongo Development Fund cannot be operational until it is passed by Parliament. He said his ministry is working with other arms of government to facilitate the passage of the bill at a joint parliamentary select committee meeting on finance and local government held in Koforidua. To review the bill, the sector minister expressed optimism the bill will be relayed before the House soon. He said the finance committee and committee on local government together with the Attorney General are currently reviewing the bill he says will be crafted to take care of possible misappropriation of funds.
I think that will be earmarked for a particular objective or activity. The fund will have to seek approval from the ministry, from the minister and the ministry. So the minister must ensure that whatever money he stands for and approve, he must go and ensure that that money is applied to that activity. Because if you don't apply it, because any monies that will be released by Ministry of Finance, we will have to show. And so at the end of the day, there must be better financial management, and must be channeled straight to the real activity. So, well, I'm not going to say that my ministry will be the best in terms of administering the funds to the various activities, but I understand, the background I'm coming from will help me administer the funds that will be available.
The minister hinted, though the bill has not been passed by Parliament, his ministry is making arrangements with the relevant government institutions to employ 3,000 Arabic tutors into Islamic schools. He assures Zongo communities of total development within their areas shortly after the bill is passed.
It's supposed to bring the whole thing into legal support. The bill will not be given legal support. It's a fund. And so you can be assured that every year you have a dedicated sum of X that should be used in various areas, because the fund is supposed to look at certain infrastructural investments to be made within the Zongo communities, scholarships in terms of education, looking at how to bring up clinics within the Zongo communities, because the most prevalent problems within the Zongo communities has to do with poverty, it has to do with diseases, it has to do with illiteracy, it has to do with unemployment. These are the basic things that are more prevalent. And then we also have deficits in terms of infrastructure, economic infrastructure. And all these things are things that, how do we solve those problems?
Authorities at the Obligor cluster of schools here in Accra have renewed their calls for the erection of a crash barrier by the main road running past the school to avert what they believe is a disaster waiting to happen. The latest call follows a near-fatal accident last Thursday when a Kia truck plowed into the school compound after the driver lost control of the vehicle. Though there was no casualty, the school authorities fear they may not be so lucky next time. Joy News' Zarina Mande has been to the school in our report.
I'm at the Obligor cluster of schools located in the Wejagbawe constituency, and a near fatal incident happened. Now the school is located directly opposite a hill, and some of the vehicles coming down that road in some cases veer off because they lose control and come right into the school. Some of the children were on the playground, but fortunately none of them is hurt. One of such vehicles came down this road and veered off, and you can see the tracks right here. And it went down to the playground where some of the kids were playing, directly to that area. If you can see where that vehicle is, that's where it ended. Fortunately, none of the students is wounded, and even though the authorities declined to speak on the matter, they are concerned that this is the third time that is happening this year. Some of the pupils who witnessed the incidents narrated their experiences to the news team.
They said we should go for breakover. So the time we was this, so like as when they ring the bell, still they're playing. So we don't remember the bell crash. So we was just playing. Our teacher was making a call here. Then he said, all of us should run. Now you can. Our teacher was running. Then the time we saw now the car was from this hill. It was coming. And then the braked here. And it came and passed here.
I see the car in the top there, said he's coming. Then it was come speed, and so they braked here. Then it was passed here. Then she attended the steer. Then the car go like this. Then it throw itself. Then it come to fall down.
One of the pupils suggests a solution to the problem.
Maybe to do a wall or something so that when the car is coming, it can come and block it so that anything will not affect us.
When Joy News visited the Gas South Municipal Education Office, officials present were hesitant to speak on the matter, even though they expressed worry about the frequent accidents on the school compound. Some of them, however, mentioned that their efforts in prompting action to protect the children have yielded no results. Zarina Mandi for Joy News.
The National Executive Council meeting of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association over recent sanctions meted out to some of its members ended inconclusively on Monday. The National Communications Authority last week sanctioned 131 radio stations for various offences, especially non-payment of fees and renewal of licenses. The minority NDC in Parliament called the action draconian, claiming it will lead to the loss of about 5,000 jobs, and Giba called the meeting to find a common position. Its president, Andrew Danso Aninkra, meanwhile tells News they are unable to state their position on the matter due to a failure by some of its members to forward the necessary documentation for review.
And so the meeting has just ended. We are going to get in touch with our members. We are still assuring them to remain calm, as those who are affected, to try as much as possible to get us all the documents that they have. We're also going to make all efforts to meet with the National Communication Authority. And then from tomorrow, we'll be issuing out very official statements, after which we'd all know how far we can go.
Okay. So you met with some of them. You are yet to reach others. For those you have met, you think they have a case?
We are still looking at the documents. We are still studying them. We are still considering them in light of what is going on. We think that we can bring a good settlement to this particular matter. Things have to be done, and they have to be done the way they have to be done.
Your members want to know if you're standing with them.
That is what we are here for. That's what we've been doing. We are with them. We belong to them. They formed the association. I am a member of the association. I run a radio station. So they are with us and we are with them.
In as much as they expect that you back them in this trying moment for these 131 stations, in your very candid opinion, do you think the NCA went overboard, or it's just within the framework?
You have to talk to the NCA. You have to engage the NCA. You have to present what you have to the NCA. At the end of it, you'll be able to tell what has happened.
I'm asking this because of what we already know. Having engaged some of them, as you said, are you of the firm conviction that we shouldn't have come this far?
When you engaged them, did they say you shouldn't come this far? Did they say they have done something wrong? Did they say they have done something right?
Well, I spoke to a few of them who say they had been engaging the NCA since last year, and some of them think that the NCA promised to get back to them. They never did until they got this letter of, revocation and all of that. And that is why, and I believe they have met you to explain some of this.
Exactly. So these are some of the things we may be taking to the NCA. These are some of the things that we are considering. These are some of the reasons why we have to engage the NCA. We need to find out from the NCA what is going on.
Meanwhile, one of the affected radio stations in the eastern region, Oxy FM, believes the station has been unfairly dealt with. Its chief executive, Alfred Kwame Labi, is meanwhile hopeful the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association will be able to intervene in their situation. He tells Gifty Ando appear on the polls. He also finds correspondence sent through to them from the NCA quite problematic, as there were a number of inaccuracies.
I don't owe them a peso.
Okay.
So I pay the annual renewal fee. So I was waiting to hear from them. Then I received this letter.
Okay.
You
Notice
understand?
of suspension
from
of
that,
operations.
yeah, they said suspension for operation.
Okay.
But some of us, we live in Koforidia, we don't receive letters like Accra. So this letter delay, this is a current letter. They were quoting a frequency, 89.9.
That's not your frequency?
That is not my frequency.
What's your frequency?
This is my frequency. This is a letter for text transmission.
98.5.
98.5. So the officer that went through my file,
there must have been a mistake.
Exactly, could not do a right thing.
Okay, are you hoping that Giba would come up with some
for sure, because when I showed them the document, they were telling me my case is genuine. Okay, I am 100% sure that the technical department, especially in the NCA, are expert, because they relocate my frequency.
Okay.
So supposing this letter went through them, they will know
that they change the frequency.
Okay.
Because I never broadcast on 89.9. But I strongly believe the NCA listen, and they will have time to make sure that writing will be done.
A severe rainstorm has hit the Wa municipality, rendering several people homeless. A fig tree caved into a house at Sopayire, a suburb of Wa, seriously injuring one person and rendering 11 people homeless. The Upper West Presidential Lodge, expected to house President Akufo-Addo, was also hit by the rainstorm, and where some windows of the building also broke, and power has since been disconnected to the lodge, thereby stepping back preparations or delaying preparations for of the visit of the president. Power to the lodge has since been restored by the VRA, whilst work is ongoing to fix the glass that has been broken before the president arrives in the afternoon. Rafiq Salam sent in this report from Wa.
The rainstorm started around 7 p.m. on Sunday and lasted for about 2 hours. It started first with a heavy downpour and then accompanied with strong winds. Several people were rendered homeless. Properties worth thousands of Ghana cedis were also destroyed. The hardest hit area was Sakbayiri, a suburb of Wa. 3 families had their 3 rooms crashed into by a big tree. All 12 persons living in the room escaped unhurt, except one man whose name was only given as Abdul Rahman. He had a big cut on his forehead and was rushed to the Upper West Regional Hospital for treatment. Assemblyman of the Sakbayiri electoral area, Suleiman Abdul Rashid, let me in on what happened.
At least 3 bedrooms have been affected, so it rendered them homeless. And then one other single room that got completely destroyed. It means that the person will not be able to live again, and it is a whole family living in that room. So as we speak now, the injured person is the head of that family. So they are currently having no place to lay their head on.
Arjatu Abdul Rahman was cooking in her room when the tree caved into her room. She says she's afraid of what happened.
I was afraid because I have never seen something like that before. I couldn't even sleep in the night.
The community safe compound was also not left out.
Assessing the situation from outside, it means that the roof and part of the wall has been damaged, and that needs to be repaired, or else the people will not be able to work again.
Preparation towards the 2-day visit of President Nana Akufo-Addo to the region has been pegged back, as some glasses to the presidential lodge was also broken. Work is currently ongoing to fix them before the president arrives. Few meters away from the presidential lodge is Radio Wa, a private radio station. The marks caved into the building and dividing the structure into 2 equal halves. The National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, said they are assessing the damage caused to enable them appropriately deal with the situation. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Now, huge investments alone do not guarantee successful business. Teamwork and knowledge of potential threats are key to growing brands. That's according to Managing Director of Multi-TV, Santosh Singh. He joined other speakers in Kumasi to share experiences with students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology at Tech Talk. Nana Jima reports.
This was a daunting challenge. In 2012, Mr. Singh has grown multi-TV brands into leaders amid stiff competition. Viewer surveys show Joy News, Joy Prime and Adum TV are all in the top 5 stations in Ghana, with Adum TV at the summit. Mr. Singh says knowing the market, making appropriate strategic decisions, employee trust, and even religion all come into play.
If you want to have to be successful in the next 4 to 5 years, you need to have all this. Okay? You need to have a sense of purpose, your target, your goal. Dream, be a dreamer. Always be a dreamer. Dream big and work towards the dream. Not have a dream, but then sit down, relax, and expect the dream to come to you. Won't happen. You need to work for the dream. It's not wrong to dream. The bigger you dream, I like it, because I used to dream big. Okay? Empowering yourself and also help others along with you. You cannot do it alone. You have to be a team. And all this, you need to have critical thinking, creative mind, problem-solving skill, and teamwork. That's the only way you're going to succeed. If you don't have all this, it's going to be tough for you.
Motivational speaker Kobna Edda emphasized clear purpose in life can help individuals and businesses stay above competition. He challenges students to know themselves and take steps to develop their abilities and interests for future success.
When you don't put that effort, when you don't put that time, that energy to bring out what you want, you will never, ever get it. Purpose is synonymous to responsibility. Purpose is synonymous to responsibility. In other words, the first thing you should do every time you realize that you are alive is to ask for what? A responsibility. Why? Because in that responsibility is where you would find your purpose.
Tech Talk is a monthly event organized by Student Representative Council and local branch of the National Union of Ghana Students. Its series targets to prepare students for life after education. Reporting for Joy News, Nanaya Ojima.
Head of the Kolebu Breast Cancer Unit, Dr. Florence Dede, is advocating the early screening of breast among women as discussions open for this year's Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
WHO estimates, it is said that about 2,000 women in Ghana every year get breast cancer, are diagnosed with breast cancer. And of all those who have breast cancer, so those who've been diagnosed and those who are living with breast cancer, about 1,000 every year would die.
Okay. And apart from the breast cancers, do you have any other diseases affecting the breast?
Yeah, so there are many diseases that affect the breast. Breast cancer is not the only one. It's just that breast cancer is the most worrying one. So usually we put a lot of emphasis on breast cancer, but there are many other diseases that can affect the breast. That is why it's important when you notice a problem or something different with the breast to come to hospital, and then we will look at it. Most of the diseases are not breast cancer.
Your advice to the general public?
I would say that for every woman, especially more than the age of 20 years, you should examine your breast every month. So stand in front of a mirror, look, and then use your hands to press your breasts against your chest. If you notice once you do that every month, you get to know what your normal is. And when you notice any changes, where that change could be a lump in the breast, a rash on the skin, a sore on the skin, the nipple changing direction, getting swollen, anything that is different from what you have always known, please don't hesitate to go to a hospital and have it examined, and probably further tests will be done. If it is breast cancer, don't despair. Once we catch it early, we are able to treat, and most women are cured.
In an address at the official opening, First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo called for urgent stakeholder collaboration to demystify stories about breast cancer, such as claims it is incurable.
October gives us an opportunity to encourage and support measures aimed at early detection, effective treatment, and palliative care of this disease. In countries like Ghana, it is also an opportunity to demystify the disease by dealing with misconceptions that eventually lead to poor treatment outcome. Globally, breast cancer is the leading cancer for women and the second leading cause of female cancer deaths. In Ghana, it is both the leading cancer and the leading cause of cancer death. Alarming statistics by WHO estimates that over 2,000 women in Ghana get the disease and more than 1,000 die from it every year. Most are young, with the majority between 40 and 49 years. More alarming is the fact that the World Health Organization projects an increase in numbers in countries like Ghana. There are a lot of misconceptions about the disease, as well as false claims on treatment on the internet, social media platforms, from friends, relatives, and even casual acquaintances. As a result, many women end up in the hospital after trying other treatments. By this time, their cancers are no more curable. Let us all continue to work for the good health of our people. On that note, I declare the breast cancer awareness activities duly launched.
Well, some female media practitioners have added their voices to calls for healthier breasts. In fact, beyond talk, they are partnering with the Trust Hospital to offer free breast screening for women in commemoration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month this October. Convener of the Alliance for Women in Media, Shamima Maslam Al-Hassan, and a member, Efia Dram, have been explaining why it is important for breasts to be frequently examined.
Cancer awareness campaign has been ongoing and for over several decades now. And I think about 2 decades ago, about 10 to 5 years ago, it was really a big campaign. Unfortunately, we have heard from reports from Kolebu that within the past 5 to 10 years, despite the awareness, creation, we still haven't seen corresponding increase in knowledge, which is reflected in people's attitude towards the disease, which hopefully should have led to different practices in terms of people actually presenting themselves in time before the cells degenerate to the point that you may have to lose your life. So unfortunately, the awareness hasn't led to increasing practice of presenting oneself to the hospital, and we need to ask why. And we need to continue with it because many lives are being lost each day to cancer. Protect your assets.
Protect your assets.
Families must be interested in supporting their women to go for regular screening and protect themselves from cancer. It's an avoidable death.
And on the 11th, it's opened for everybody to come to our dental trust clinic at the Housing Down for everybody to get free screening. Yes, we are going on University of Ghana campus on the 18th of October. If you're a student and you're around UPS, University of Ghana, come there. And then every Tuesday and Thursday, you can come to Trust Hospital and get screened for free.
In Osu.
And in Osu, opposite the Goil filling station. What we want women to know is that preventive health is very important. We spend all the time. How many hours do you spend doing this hair? Maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. You don't want to know. Yes. And you join a queue, you have to book in advance and all that. The same attitude we have towards our hair, buying,
we should transfer it to our
Brazilian hair and all that. We should transfer it to our health and the breast in particular.